You're watching Satluj TV News. I'm Angus Scott in London. India's top court has refused to legalise same-sex marriages, but said the country had a duty to acknowledge LGBTQ relationships and to protect them from discrimination. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has opposed moves to legally codify same-sex partnerships in the 5 years since the Supreme Court struck down colonial-era laws banning gay sex. Lawyers for several same-sex couples urged the court earlier this year to grant their relationships full legal recognition. But the 5-member bench ruled that extending marriage equality was a parliamentary decision. Supreme Court Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud said during his verdict that it lay within the domain of Parliament and state legislatures to determine the law on marriage. But the court's ruling held that the fundamental right to marriage for same-sex couples was not guaranteed by India's constitution under existing law. It did grant marriage rights to couples where one or both members were transgender, provided one participant in the union identified as a man and the other as a woman. Chandrachud added that India still had a duty to acknowledge same-sex relationships and protect those in them from discrimination. The verdict itself was greeted with sadness and disappointment by a crowd gathered outside the court, who had hoped to celebrate India becoming the second Asian jurisdiction, after Taiwan, to legalise same-sex marriages. The petitioners had said validating same-sex marriage would help them access some of the legal benefits of matrimony, including adoption, insurance and inheritance. But Modi's Hindu nationalist government has staunchly opposed same-sex marriage and insisted that any change was up to Parliament and not the courts. The government's submission to the court had stated that living together as partners and having sexual relationship by same-sex individuals is not comparable with the Indian family unit concept of a husband, a wife and children. A landmark ruling in 2018 struck down the British colonial-era law criminalising gay sex. And last year the court ruled that unmarried partners or same-sex couples were entitled to welfare benefits. Acceptance of gay couples grew in the wake of the 2018 ruling. A Pew survey in June suggested 53% of Indian adults favoured same-sex marriage, whilst 43% opposed it. But leaders from all of India's main religions, Hindu, Muslims, Jain, Sikh and Christian, also opposed same-sex union, with several of them insisting that marriage is for procreation, not recreation. More than 30 countries allow same-sex marriage, while others recognise same-sex civil unions. You've been watching Satluj TV News. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button to make sure you get to see stories as they're broadcast. And of course, if you have any comments or opinions on any of our news stories, you can comment below, or indeed drop us a direct message at message@satlujtv.com. We would love to hear from you. In the meantime, thanks for watching. For Satluj TV News, I'm Angus Scott in London.